so much for taking time to view M&I University class today. My name is Katie, and I'm with Manufacturers News. I myself have been with Manufacturers News, or M&I, for 12 years this month. I'm really happy about that and pretty proud of it. But we've been in business since 1912. At Manufacturers News, we profile industrial manufacturers. We hold information for about 400,000 manufacturers and almost a million decision makers. We love to connect buyers and sellers in the industry. And if you are interested in hearing more about any of the services that we offer, you can definitely reach out to me at the end. I am going to send an email out afterwards with covering some things that, bullet pointing things that we covered today. There'll be some links as well, so you might need to check your spam box for it. But yeah, if you have any questions about anything afterwards, feel free to just reply back to the email. I will have Dave on that as well. And I would just like to introduce you to my friend Dave Meyer. He is with BusyWeb, and they are a marketing agency out
Yep.
of Minnesota.
Yes.
Which is my neighbor in Wisconsin. And he's going to be talking today about productivity and marketing with AI, which is a super hot topic right now, and I'm really excited to hear more. So without any further ado, Dave, thank you so much for teaching a class today.
Yes, and thanks Katie and M&I for all of the opportunities. I'm super excited to be here, and you guys have a wonderful marketing engine when things get going, because I was getting pinged all over the place for this as soon as we started talking about the topic and the opportunity. So we're going to do a number of these throughout the year. So if you liked this one, tell your friends. If you didn't like it, don't tell anybody, because that's not fair. But I'm super excited to be here with you and talk about marketing productivity with artificial intelligence. Now, there's a lot of definitions to AI, and everyone has a different idea or different reservations or concerns about using some of these algorithms to further their careers or to use content. I have college and high school age kids, and there's a lot of just confusion and just all kinds of interesting developments in this space. And we ain't seen nothing yet. So I'm excited to be here with you. And if there's one thing that you can guarantee, is that the content that we're going to cover today covers AI in the worst possible form that it's ever going to be again, because it's only going to keep getting better, more easy to absorb, more easy to adapt, and more accurate. So with that, there's a bunch of caveats, and we're going to cover some of those as we go through today. So you might wonder who the heck I am and what I'm doing here. This is a little bit about BusyWeb and about me. If you have your phone, you can actually add my contact info using the QR code on screen right now. But I'd love to chat with you. And out of Minneapolis, BusyWeb is a platinum HubSpot partner. We're a Grow with Google partner. I'm a speaker and trainer for both Google and HubSpot. And we focus on manufacturing companies who need help driving leads to their businesses. So as you can imagine, we're using a fair amount of the tools that we're going to cover today, but we have a very specific way that we use them in order to stay clear of any legal and accuracy issues. So I'm going to share with you how to do this smart. I am going to be watching the chat today, and Katie's going to be backing me up as well. So if you do have questions, suggestions, or comments, I'd love to see those there. And let's get started. As we talk, I just want to kind of share the background about what I mean by AI as regards this particular talk. AI, or artificial intelligence, is a kind of catchphrase or a bucket that revolves around all kinds of other things. You may have heard of Chat GPT. The GPT stands for generative AI. So that is basically a super hot rodded algorithm that uses not necessarily real, true artificial intelligence, but it's just really smart algorithms and scripts that talk to each other, that search and that access a big, huge database, and then just thinking thinking with air quotes very carefully about how all of these things work. So if you think that there's some big robot in the sky that's actually making decisions, that's not how any of this stuff works. What it is just really, really smart computer code that is been written to capture itself and to kind of learn, if we can actually use that word, as it's referencing back to itself. And that's where the generative stuff comes in. So as a marketer, as a business person, as a human, you don't really have to be afraid of AI, especially as we're talking about it here. It's not going to replace us as humans or as marketers. However, people who use AI for their business are going to edge out the folks that don't, because it's like, and I hate to say this, but it's kind of like steroids. So if you want to run faster and go out and, get the best out of everything and do things faster and easier, maybe instead of steroids, we should just say it's the automobile versus horses and buggies, right? So we've gotten about as far as we can by our digital version of horses. And now there are cars out there that are going to be self-driving soon that can get us where we want to go. AI is one of those things that's going to make that helpful and useful. So Katie just chatted. It's a performance enhancer, right? And that's absolutely what it is. So if you're thinking that burying your head in the sand is a okay way to do this, I would strongly caution you to at least try some of this stuff, because as a brainstorming tool, as a battler of writer's block, as a just kind of chatting through things. I'm going to share a bunch of different tools today, but one of my favorites lets you just literally talk with something that accesses all kinds of databases in an entirely different way than you're used to. So if you're a person like me who likes to verbalize and literally chat with people in order to come up with great ideas, you have a lot of delight in store for you, because the way that some of these tools work is incredibly human feeling. And so you can actually chat and brainstorm and come up with some great stuff, all using these tools. Now we can get way deep and way geeky. We can get super nerdy. You can create all kinds of code with GPT models. You can create imagery. You can do so many things that we haven't even thought of or applied yet. But what we're really talking about here is just getting a helper, the Alfred of the world, if you're an Iron Man fan or a Marvel Universe fan, something that you can just literally say, okay, well, what's my status on this, or how can I do this? And so that's what I'm talking about today. With that one final caveat before we dig in deep, you are the expert with your business, with your communication, with everything that you present when you use these AI tools. You are responsible for content accuracy, copyright, and plagiarism. You can't just use this stuff and expect it to kick out finished product. If you're using AI to generate blog posts and not editing the heck out of them, you are setting yourself up for certainly a dangerous ride, but probably an inaccurate and or copyright infringing ride. There's a bunch of lawsuits that are out right now from authors and artists whose content and work has been used by some of these tools, and it's a straight up ripoff of what they do. And some of the imagery tools, for example, you can still see like a blurred out squiggle of the artist's signature. So that's not going well for those. And as I'll show you in a little bit, if AI doesn't know the answer to something, a lot of times it will just straight up make up an answer to try and please you. That's called hallucinations. And it's very, very dangerous, especially if you're publishing content that you think is accurate. But there are also some tools that are being built in, especially inside of Google's tools, to help you fact check your content. But even that's not foolproof. So we're going to dig in deep on that. So again, this is going to be a very interactive chat. If you do have questions, Nigel, thanks for chiming in on AI. You know, he says it's like a pen as a tool to assist, not a replacement for creating content. So I agree 100%. So let's get started with the one that everybody seems to be talking about, and that's ChatGPT. There's a couple of different versions of ChatGPT, so I'm going to show you the difference between those. But there's all kinds of stuff that this tool in particular can do, and it's been making a splash for the past year with good reason. It's really, really cool. All right, so GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Yeah, say that 3 times fast. But what it really means is that it has a number of quote unquote self-learning techniques to generate responses based on text prompts. Now you can actually talk to GPT over the mobile apps over Android or iOS. But in general, you're typing text to elicit a response through this tool that sort of learns from itself and from its algorithms. So it's designed to engage in conversational exchanges. You're talking to this tool. And I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. But the basic model, 3.5, is free. And that comes with a little bit of a drawback. The data cutoff from 3.5 is January of 2022. Now, it used to be September 2021, so it's upgraded a bit, but we're still talking about 2-year-old data for anything that you're working with. So if you're looking at something that's changed in the past couple of years, hello, AI, marketing, all of the things that are really important to us, you can't really guarantee the accuracy of the data because a lot has changed in the past couple of years. However, GPT-4 goes all the way up to April of last year, and there are other tools that are pretty much current and on the spot. So that's your first watchword. You got to watch out for content accuracy because the tool is going after a body of knowledge or connects to a body of knowledge that is at best like 8 months old. All right, so let's keep moving. Here's some examples of what you can do inside of a ChatGPT chat. It's a little bit small on screen, so I'm going to read this for us. Create a table showing the 5 most popular social media platforms with demographics. Show primary age group, gender distribution, key geographic locations, and primary user activity. That's all I typed, and it created a table that I can put in my next blog post that talks about the data and the information that I asked for. Now, is this 100% guaranteed correct? We don't know because it could be hallucinating and just making stuff up. But I've got a really nice table here, and you can put in the caveat that says, accuracy not guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. But it built out this beautiful little thing. Facebook is ages 25 to 34. Sounds about right to me. 57 to 43%. Key geographic locations, India, USA, Brazil, and all the way down the list, right? So the big 5, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now X, right? So GPT has no idea about that because the data is too old. LinkedIn, Snapchat, all of that's available. So pretty good. And this took all of a 1.5 seconds. If you haven't played with ChatGPT, I would encourage you to just go to chat.openai.com and check it out for yourself. Conversely, Google is not going to sit on its laurels with this, especially when we start talking about generative search, which is an entirely different topic that I have in upcoming events scheduled for, because this is a brand new thing and it's probably going to be what I talk about the rest of the year. But Google's tools, Google Bard, soon to be Google Gemini. I'm hearing as of tomorrow, they're actually going to rename Bard to Gemini with the Ultra upgrade. But like I said, content changes all the time. So this is Google Bard, but what is it? It's just like ChatGPT. It has a lot of new tools. Actually, as of February 1st, you can also create images in Google Bard, but it does some things that are a little bit different. The first and probably best thing that I like about Bard versus GPT is it's always constant as far as the data. It's pulling off of its own database, which is up to date. So it knows that Twitter's now X. It knows something that was posted yesterday. If the Googlebot has captured that and put it in its algorithm or in its big database, right? So you can upload images, you can use Google Lens. There's now the Circle It feature inside of Google where you can just take a picture, circle it, and it'll Google whatever's in that circle or a highlighted outline. You can create and upload Google search images into your responses. You can verify the content that Google Bard is coming up with by using Google It. And I'll show you what that means in a second, but it'll literally go out to the database and you can search and it brings back the content that it spit out and it highlights things that might be inaccurate based on what it knows from its own Google database, which is pretty cool. But the caveat there is that not everything that's on the web is true, right? So one of my favorite quotes is not everything that you read on the internet is always true. And that's ascribed to Abraham Lincoln, right? So there was no, there was no internet in 1864, but, so you gotta watch this with your own kind of research. And that's where a lot of people are falling down. They're just believing because it comes from this fancy robot that anything that comes out of it is true. Same thing with Google search. It's not always accurate. You can create images, as I mentioned, and maybe it's going to be changing its name to Gemini search instead of Bard as of tomorrow. They're rolling out Google or Gemini Ultra tomorrow, which is a massive step up. Bard runs off of Gemini, which is the underlying code. There's an entire blog and support system for AI at Google. And it's just google.com/AI if you want to know more. But Gemini might be the new name of Bard. Don't know yet. Talk to me tomorrow. And for those folks that are watching the recording, let us know if I was right. All right, so here's what Bard looks like. And I asked this one because notice I said in this slide that you can search your Gmail, your Docs, and Drive. So anything in Google Workspace, you can theoretically have it review. So I asked Bard, give me a summary of the emails I've received about my September 21st event with AAF South Dakota. It said that I've received 2 emails, and here's the email one with the event confirmation, the details being that the event starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 5 p.m. It's at the Sioux Falls Convention Center, and the email 2 is the agenda, 9 to 9:30, opening remarks, blah, blah, blah. Here's the really fascinating part about what Google spit out with 100% confidence. It's all complete baloney. I had this event at a golf club where I did a lunch event and it was just me speaking. So Bard made all of this up and gave me 100% guaranteed I would have showed up at 9 a.m. to the wrong place if I was just listening to Google. So imagine what might happen if it's something that you can't instantly verify by just using your brain. So there are definite warnings and issues. So again, be careful about copyright issues. People have content, if you're quoting in it and you ask it to recreate the Lord of the Rings trilogy or the first paragraph, there's a copyright against the Tolkien works. And so you can't pull from that content. And it's very, very much the wild, wild west about how all this stuff works. You also need to watch out for hallucinations, which I just talked about, but also bias. By bias, I mean that GPT, these generative pre-transformative trainers, are looking at content that was created by humans, and those humans tend to have a similar background. They tend to be programmers. They tend to be from developed nations and spaces. They tend to be a little more male and a little more white than the general population of the world. And so it's just, this is what your parents told you. So if you wonder why kids are snotty, it's because their parents were also kind of snotty. The parents of these tools are who they are. So you have to gauge that. If you ask them something that the people that created these tools don't agree with, or it wasn't trained on yet, you're going to get incomplete or inaccurate answers. So you need to watch out for that and back out to say, okay, well, what are the other perspectives that I might not be catching? And sometimes you can ask that with the prompts, but in general, these tools can't tell you things that they just don't know. So we need to be careful on that. So if I'm comparing the big two, GPT versus Bard, ChatGPT is probably better for creative content writing. It does a little bit more free flow and it saves those chats. It'll store those previous conversations, especially once you get into the upgraded, the GPT-4 and turbos. It'll give you more. It offers various plugins so you can integrate. There's some really cool ones that I'm going to share with you in a little bit where you can talk to GPT and have it create a slide deck for you in Google Slides. And it'll do the content, create the stuff. You can have it write almost anything. And so that's super fun. And that's one of the strengths of GPT versus Bard. Now, Bard, aka maybe Gemini, has a really friendly user interface. You can upload images. You can do imagery a little bit easier than you can in GPT because ChatGPT's image base off of the parent company, off of OpenAI, is a different tool. So you can just ask for images right out of it, but you can research current information such as recent events, so things that are happening. And it lets you summarize web pages, and it does a better job, in my opinion, on identifying marketing nerd stuff like keywords, content, rankings, backlinks than GPT does. I mean, Google just owns that space, so it does pretty well with it. So let's dig out our GPT tools. Let's open up a new tab. If you want to follow along with me, you're welcome to do this as well. But let's look through some starter prompts. And I have some general things that I want you to know as we're creating prompts, but let's also dig a little deeper and do some fun stuff. And then at the end today, I actually have a granddaddy prompt that you can plug into either of these tools and it will create better prompts for you. You can use the robot to self-improve. So let's get started. First, as you go, when you create prompts, it's better and easier to offer background and context. So you're telling ChatGPT or Bard who they need to be or who it needs to be. You are a seasoned marketing professional in manufacturing and precision marketing or precision manufacturing and stamping and tooling in Idaho. And you're looking for more, whatever it is that you're looking for. If you're looking for an ideal client persona or a buyer persona, if you're looking for better leads with a specific kind of person, you're going to want to list out all of that data. You need to give the tool plenty of information so that it can pull from its databases and present the right content for you, right? So you can think conversationally. You don't have to use operators like you used to in Google search, for example, but just input natural language questions. And then if you don't like what it comes up with, you can ask it to rephrase, to summarize, to optimize, or even to shorten. So if it comes out with a blog post, and again, don't use blog posts and copy and paste them straight in because it's a lot of danger in there. But if you say, make this paragraph 20% shorter, it'll just reword it for you and make it shorter. So tell the tool what to do. Right, perfect. So let's use some research-based things because a big part of marketing is research. So one of my favorites is help me identify keywords and effective content to reach, in my case, a specific persona. BusyWeb is a sales enablement and marketing lead generation company. So one of my personas is called Millie Marketer. And I always give them alliterative names, but Millie Marketer is a frontline person in a marketing team who needs help with social media and all that other stuff. So I would list that out in my prompt and give them all the details about Millie Marketer. Ask me questions to help create a marketing strategy for, and then list your product or service. It's important to give as much background or input in this as possible. So create a marketing strategy for a marketing and sales enablement agency based in Minneapolis that serves B2B businesses and precision manufacturing. right? So I would ask that, and then it's going to kick something out like this. So I've typed into ChatGPT here, help me identify keywords and effective content to reach Millie Marketer, a professional, a marketing pro with 5 years experience in SEO, pay-per-click, and email marketing, who works as a marketing specialist for a B2B services business in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm being as specific as I can. And then ChatGPT just kicks out this nice little breakdown. Note, I still want to verify this with my own research. I want to come up with my own details and information, but it's giving me one heck of a good start, and it beats the pants off a blank piece of paper when I'm trying to come up with a persona. So as a marketing agency, we use these to dramatically decrease the time that it takes for research for our marketing personas for our customers. It's not always guaranteed as being accurate, but it's way easier to fact check something that's on a page than it is to come up with it out of thin air. Let's see what Bard does for the same thing. Help me identify keywords and effective content to reach Millie Marketer. And Google gets right down to the basics. I asked for keywords and here's our keywords. Marketing specialist, SEO, pay-per-click, email marketing, and then effective content to reach Millie Marketer. That's a little bit funner. That's a little nicer in my opinion than what GPT gave me. Content about the latest marketing trends and best practices. Duh, of course, right? So it's listing out all that stuff. It's super, super helpful. All right, let's try something else. One of the other things, I've already mentioned it a couple of times, is writer's block. Creating content or starting content is one of the hot tips of using a GPT or an AI-based tool. So generate a blog post for Millie Marketer that highlights the benefits of product, service, company, and encourages them to whatever that specific action you want. Subscribe to or register for an upcoming webinar, right? Note that I don't need to give all of the data and details about Millie Marketer after I've told the tool who Millie Marketer is. So I can just say Millie Marketer, and then the tool remembers, okay, well, Millie Marketer is a marketer that has 5 years experience. She's based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, whatever, right? Similarly, help me outline a series of emails that aligns with whatever phase of the buyer's journey. So this is kind of a nerdy thing, but in marketing period, there are a number of kind of psychological phases that people go through. The awareness phase is when they've just identified that there's a problem and they're trying to solve it. So this thing isn't working. I need more leads in my case. Consideration is kind of when they're figuring out who might be able to solve this problem for them. So they're starting to dig in deeper. And then purchase, they're trying to decide if you're the right solution and are they going to click buy now, right? So help me outline a series of blog posts that aligns with the purchase phase of the buyer's journey. Would be like, here's how to buy now for this webinar or whatever, right? So let's see what that looks like. Generate a blog post for owners of B2B businesses specializing in manufacturing that highlights the benefits of BusyWeb and encourages them to register for an upcoming webinar, 10 quick tips to make your HubSpot portal sing. So it pops it out, kicks it out very nicely. We are not going to use this for our blog post on our website. The reason we're not is because it needs to be created by us. The Marketing AI Institute, the current recommendation is to make at least 7 substantive changes to any piece of content. I throw that out. I say, rewrite it, verify that it's good, but at least you have something started. What I actually like doing instead of writing an entire blog post is give me an outline of a blog post for whatever I'm trying to do. And then it'll give you the headings. And then you can ask it to tell me more about these things. But you don't ever want these tools to create your content for you. You may have heard that Sports Illustrated is basically no more. SI went through and was generating full blog posts on AI and publishing it. And it got absolutely tanked by the fact that that all came out. And then there was a bunch of copyright claims against it. It kind of killed the organization. So be careful. And there's no substitute for good work. But that said, if someone is driving a brand new sports car down the road, they're going to get there a lot faster than somebody's that's walking or riding a bicycle. These GPT tools are that sports car, and trying to do it the old-fashioned way is probably riding your 10-speed, right? So use the tools and make sure that we're going. All right, search engine optimization or pay-per-click. These are some nerdy ones for marketers, but generate a list of long-tail keywords that will attract more qualified traffic for whatever your product or service is. Help me optimize this post for organic search rankings. I do like this one because it lets the tool add some more content and options, especially in Bard. This is going to give you more optimized content without bridging the gap into keyword stuffing that might downgrade your actual rankings. So help me optimize this post is a great thing to use. Again, go off of your content though. So don't just ask it to write a blog and then tell it to optimize it. Come up with your own content, maybe by a brainstorm or an outline, but don't ever create this content and try to push it off as your own. And then help me write an effective ad using the most popular keywords for blah, blah, blah. No surprise here, Google Bard is probably the best choice for writing ads for Google Ads. All right, so here's an example, generate a blog post for owners of B2B businesses. This is what Bard came up with. Intro, if you're a B2B manufacturing business owner, you know that HubSpot is a powerful portal tool for blah, 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 right? So it's nice, but anyone that's spent much time reviewing AI-generated content can spot it a mile away. It went right to the keyword that I was trying to optimize for, and it kind of just circles around that. It's like asking a 3-year-old to tell you a book report. And it's just going to say, oh, well, this thing does this thing. And the reason why is because this thing is really cool. So it just repeats itself over and over again. And so that's one of the problems with this generated content. Conversely, if I go into GPT, generate a list of long tail keywords that will attract more qualified traffic for HubSpot consulting services and inbound marketing, something that BusyWeb does, right? So it's giving me these longer keywords that I should put into my blog posts or my ads and optimize for that. I asked Bard the same thing and slightly different. It gets right to the beginning and it makes sure that it lists the exact words. Notice, I say, here's a list of long tail keywords. So for HubSpot consulting services and inbound marketing, I asked the same thing here. And there's all kinds of different things in GPT, HubSpot consulting services. It's bang, 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 HubSpot, 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 HubSpot for Google Bard, because it knows that having the first word at the beginning is probably the smartest bet to optimize for that keyword, especially in advertising. Nigel asks, how will these SEO and keyword aspects of AI affect companies like HubSpot and SEMrush? Great question. And really what's going to happen is that all of these tools are going to adapt right with it. So HubSpot actually has ChatSpot built right into all of its tools now. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit. SEMrush is actually using AI to help generate and optimize for keywords and read deeper into the content and give you better results. So these tools are adapting, but it's still very much the wild, wild west of how this works. You know, there's cowboys running around shooting things all over the place, and you can't really know what all of this stuff is going to do until we start to see how it's going to play out. I'd say we got to watch for accuracy. We got to watch for hallucinations. And of course, there's a lot of copyright issues that we need to be careful of. That's a great question. Thanks, Nigel. All right, let's keep going and talk about how we can help or some prompts for social media. Help me generate a social media content calendar for whatever your product, your service, or your desired goal is to reach. Again, if I'm looking for Millie Marketer, if I've been talking about Millie Marketer above, I don't need to restate who Millie Marketer is because the tool knows. So just give me a content calendar for Twitter to reach Millie Marketer, or help me brainstorm creative ways to use social media to drive traffic, increase conversions, whatever I want to do for my company. And you wouldn't say my company, you're going to say your company's name. All right, so we talked about text stuff, and I've got a master text-based prompt that you can use to create a little robot that's going to create better prompts for you. So hang on for that. I mentioned one of my favorite tools is HubSpot, and ChatSpot is the tool that HubSpot has that uses actually ChatGPT-4 to do all kinds of really cool marketing stuff. ChatSpot not only does all kinds of cool marketing stuff, but it can generate images. So in this case, I asked to generate an image of a man presenting to a large group on stage, and the audience is eating lunch. So not bad. And for internal use, I would be okay with just using this straight up. Like in a presentation like this, works fine. If I was trying to put this in on the homepage of my website, I would be a little nervous, and I would have a professional graphic designer either use this as reference and create this new, or figure out some ways to do it. There's like Shutterstock or some of the other image buying tools do have AI generated content now, and you can license and purchase it. But even on that, there's some serious legal stuff going on where artists that have used their content, I mean, all of the Hollywood strikes for us on this side of the pond, Nigel, for that stuff, all of that was generated around AI. And the fact that you can create scripts or do almost anything with this stuff. So we need to protect our own creative. So if I'm looking at this image, the one in the upper left kind of looks like a prison version of The Last Supper. So it's not perfect. And everyone seems to be eating gruel. So I don't know if that's perfect, but the one in the upper right, again, I asked it for in the style of comic books. So it's kind of line drawings and all that stuff. But the dude in the lower right of that image, some terrible farm accident happened to that poor guy's hand. So you can kind of tell this AI content in the way that it shows up. And that's just something that the AI tools are working at. Katie says, when you don't know the facts or the truth, how do we keep our companies or selves safe from hallucinations? One of them is the Google It tool. And I'll show you that. Actually, I have a screenshot. Actually, I cut it off before the screenshot is actually there. So there's a Google It button at the bottom, so you can use that. And I'll actually show that as part of our show and tell at the end, where you can verify your content. But you literally just need to make sure that any salient points or facts that you're verifying and fact checking so that you pop up. If I would have showed up at 9 a.m. at the wrong place for my event, it would have been a bad day, right? So you just need to make sure that you're not letting the tool. I mean, it's just literally, there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as free intelligence. You need to do the work in order to make sure that you're protecting yourself. So images, again, going back to this, ChatSpot has a brilliant tool in it. ChatSpot's completely free. You can use it to create images in photographic style, comic book, painting, all kinds of other cool stuff. And we can even demo that if you want. Photoshop made a big splash last year with generative fill. Famously, right away when it launched generative fill, it made sure to note that none of that was copyrightable. And so you need to be careful with that. It is sort of copyrightable now, but if you get a chance to look at the video for that one, or for the launch of generative fill, it's really, really crazy. So it's like, give me an image of a jaguar drinking from a pond. Jaguar, if we're talking for Nigel, make the spots white on that image, or put a butterfly in the upper left or in the lower right corner, right? You can do all of this from the typing of your blog or of your content. So it's just really, really cool what you can do inside of this. And then OpenAI, of course, has DALL-E. DALL-E was a very important tool, or it still is a separately purchased tool. So if you have ChatGPT-4 and you're paying for that, you don't actually get access to DALL-E without a separate additional license. But it's pretty inexpensive to create these images and these tools. And there are free versions of DALL-E that are out there. Crayon, I'm going to show you in a minute. that let you create content at the expense of you're going to watch a bunch of ads. But the images are great. I still don't know personally if I would use them for the corporate branding of my company. I wouldn't be using this to say generate a logo, especially because the copyright is a little sniffy on this. You're not guaranteed to not run into issues down the road. Bard just came out with image generator as of last week. So I asked Bard to generate an image of a bee working at a computer in a cartoon style, and here's what it came up with. Not bad, right? So pretty cool. The bee is really adorable in the lower left, so that might be something I would be tempted to use for a blog post or a low impact thing, but pretty neat. And then I mentioned Crayon before. This is the free version of Dolly. It's actually based off Dolly Mini, and Dolly Mini was rebranded Crayon. The AI, haha, really cute in there. But I asked it the same prompt, an image of a man presenting in front of a group eating lunch. Some of these, the dude is standing on a pen on a board for some reason in the upper right. It looks like he's losing his face in the bottom middle. It looks like he's actually grown hands that are clipboards in the middle right. And he looks very unhappy in the middle. So, not all of these are perfect, but I can regenerate these. And if you've watched any or seen social media where they kind of go through prompts and say, okay, but make it crazier. Okay, make it more wacky. Okay, make it just absolutely insane. It's kind of fun to watch the process of this happening and to follow that along. So the image stuff is very, very kind of spooky and fun and interesting, but it can be very interesting and certainly as a good brainstorming device to generate content. And hey, Brent, and hey, Whitney, good to see you guys. So welcome. Feel free to ask questions as we go along, and the recording's available or as soon as we're done with this. Katie's going to send out a note. So perfect. So let's talk about some other tools that you can use for AI. And I've talked a lot about Bard. I've talked a lot about ChatGPT, but one of my favorites for actually doing real business as a company in marketing is ChatSpot. ChatSpot.ai is a completely free tool that you can use to do a massive amount of marketing and sales related things. So there's what's called templates at the top of ChatSpot. It's owned by HubSpot. And if you log into your HubSpot account, you can do all kinds of really cool stuff, like craft an elevator pitch, research a company, tell me all the companies that use HubSpot and Salesforce in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And it'll give you a list of companies that match that outline. And then you can use that for prospecting. And if you click on that person or on that business, it'll add it to your CRM. So you don't have to retype or copy and paste. It's integrated with the HubSpot CRM tools. So if I did that, for example, here, find companies in Sioux Falls, South Dakota that use HubSpot, it pops right in. And I have little buttons that I can do to either do more research or add that to HubSpot. So if I want to add Sanford Health to my HubSpot account, list that as a deal and have my salesperson look it up, I can do that. Likewise, this is just magical to me because anybody that creates a lot of YouTube videos knows that it's a chore to write optimized descriptions. So summarize this YouTube video. And then I just included the content of one of my recent busy webinars. And so it's a webinar hosted by Dave and Trigvi. They misspelled Trigvi, so I can't blame them because I was just listening, discussing the concepts of personas in marketing. I can copy, paste, and most importantly, fix this and use it for my descriptions. It took me 10 seconds to do it, which saved me the half hour that it would have taken me to review the entire thing and summarize it. So very, very cool. Another fun one that's kind of nerdy is Robot of Business. If you have clients or friends or a personal project that you need a website for, you are $10 away from having an AI generated website that the content's written, the imagery is written, everything's done, and it takes about 15 minutes total, including the time that it takes you to answer all the questions that the robot of business asks you. So you click start your next site. It asks you what your customer is, what your product is or service, what's success looks like for you, and why people should buy your content or service or product. And then you click a button and it creates a website that's already ready to publish. It's just crazy. This is actually created by a good friend of mine that works out of the BusyWeb office once in a while. So this is one of the things that he's working on. That's been super cool. Another one that I like, and I mentioned this before, but there's a plugin for ChatGPT that lets it generate presentations. So you just tell it, hey, GPT, create a presentation about AI in marketing. Note, that's not what I did for this, of course, because, I promised that all of my content was generated by a real human. But if you had to come up with a sales pitch for your new product and you had no idea where to start, this will create 30 different slides with imagery, with content, with the main things that you need to look at. It's going to take you a bunch of time to edit afterwards, but talk about a game changer. Instead of taking 18 hours to create a presentation, you can start with something fast and then customize it to optimize, right? So very, very easy. Another tool that's kind of optimized for marketers is Jounce.ai. And that has stuff like AI image prompt improver. So if you're getting crappy images back, you can actually use this tool to click in and it'll create better images. If you have products that you sell on Amazon, it can do this. It can go through the AIDA framework, attention, interest, desire, action, and build a marketing plan for you. And it's completely free. Jounce.ai. Love it. It's actually an application that sits on your computer or on your phone, and it's very, very slick. So I'd give it a shot. There's hundreds of different templates on it. And then another one, I mentioned that I really like conversing and brainstorming with people in order to generate or solidify my ideas. Pi.ai is completely conversational. So you'll ask or you'll tell Pi AI, if you just want to brainstorm ideas, you click that button and it says, hey, nice to see you. What kind of an idea are you looking for help with? And then you'll tell it, and then it'll say, ooh, that's a really interesting idea. Let's talk about that for a while. And then it literally asks you leading questions like a good interviewer until you're brainstorming content and ideas that are actually useful and helpful. Again, Pi AI, completely free, pi.ai. And then I believe that Katie mentioned this before, but Canva has come out with a bunch of really good AI tools. Magic Fill is really, really neat, or Magic Write, I should say. And so you can create a presentation out of Canva or an image or a content. This has the added benefit of being semi-licensable if you're paying for the paid versions of Canva. But again, you need to be careful so that it's actually generating good, helpful content. So just go to Canva and look at their AI tools. Super, super helpful. Now we're rounding up on the end of the hour, so I want to get through a couple of advanced things and leave us a little bit of time for questions. So let's go kind of quickly through my favorite advanced strategy. And again, if you want this actual content, you can either take a quick snapshot of it or remember that the recording is available to everyone that subscribed or that signed up for today's event. So if you use this prompt, it says you're an AI prompt engineering robot. You need to gather information about the user's goals, objectives, examples of preferred output, and any other relevant contextual information. The prompt should create or should contain all the necessary information that was provided to you. You will ask follow-up questions to the user until you're confident you can produce an optimal prompt. Your return should be formatted clearly and optimized for GPT interactions. With every reply you make, you'll include a confidence score from 0 to 100. The confidence score represents your level of confidence that you can create a prompt that fulfills all the needs of the user. When the user submits the phrase status report, you'll return your understanding of the user's goals, needs, objectives, and any other relevant info. Start by asking the user what they'd like to do. How fun is that, right? So You input this and then it starts generating content. So if I input this, this is what ChatGPT kicks back to me. Hello, what would you like to do or achieve with ChatGPT? Create a marketing persona for Millie Marketer, a marketing professional with 5 years experience, blah, blah, blah. And then it moves up to confidence score 20 because I now know who Millie Marketer is. Got it. You'd like to create a marketing persona. The best tailor this persona is make it as detailed as possible. I'd like to ask follow-up questions. And then it asks all kinds of questions based on what it's seen in the world. So it's super, super fun. And I actually have this window open and we can play with it a little bit and see how it looks. But that's a master tip. And the other tip that I'll give you as we wrap up and get ready for Q&A is you need to be a professional tinkerer with all of this stuff. You need to play with it. You need to understand it. I mentioned, or I made a mention in one of the earlier slides, the Marketing AI Institute is a very cool place to kind of browse. There's also a Reddit forum on, or Reddit boards for ChatGPT, for Bard, for AI in general. Those are great places because there's a lot of people that are literally knocking over rocks and seeing what's underneath them and are sharing things that are super, super helpful and informative. So don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and to play with this stuff while being careful for content accuracy, copyright, and plagiarism. So just make sure that you're looking out for yourself and that there's no substitute for a good human marketer. It's your job to use these tools, kind of like in Avatar when the dude had the big robot suit, he could punch harder and jump longer because he had that robot suit. It's your robot suit. That's what AI is, but it still needs you.